Hi friends, welcome back. In today's video, I'm going to look at some ink samples that I received as part of a surprise sample package from Goulet Pens. We're also going to unbox and try out this Hocoro Sailor dip pen that I recently purchased from Paper Plus Cloth, which is a local shop in Toronto. So a few months ago, I started going down the rabbit hole of researching a waterproof ink that I could use for sketching as well as signing legal documents, and it sent me down the rabbit hole of trying to find an ink that was safe for my fountain pens. So during my research, one brand that really interested me was the ATRAMENTIS brand, and unfortunately I was having the toughest time finding ink samples available in Canada, and I've gotten a little bit wary of buying full bottles of ink until I've properly tried them, just because it adds up really quickly and I want to be more intentional about the ink bottles that I invest in. So that brings me to this little basket of ink samples. When I finally found on Goulet Pens that they had a pretty wide range of DIAMINE inks, I decided to order a few samples, and in that process I signed up for the newsletter, and they offered to send you a free ink sample package of surprise random ink samples when you sign up for their newsletter. And so that came in the mail, and now I have more ink samples than I really know what to do with. So the samples with this white lid, these are all from Goulet Pens. To avoid making this video crazy long, I'm going to primarily focus on the random ink samples that I purchased, as well as one additional ink that I added to my cart because it looked so beautiful. And I'll save the DIAMINE archive inks for another video, or I'll sample them out another day, just because I think this video is going to get too long. I'm going to pull out the ink samples that we'll be testing today, and then we're going to use this dip pen, so we'll try that out. And I brought out a few different notebooks. I'm going to test them in my Hobonichi cousin, but I might pull out one of my inserts from my passport size traveler's notebook, because currently the insert in my regular traveler's notebook is a Galen leather insert that is also using similar paper to my cousin. So I thought it would be interesting to use the MD paper as a comparison. Let's get started. Okay, so I want to take a look at this pen. It was $26.90 from Paper Plus Cloth. It is called the Hocoro. Apologies if I've pronounced that wrong. It's by Sailor. And I picked up the thinnest nib they had in the store. I obviously can't read any of this, so I'm not sure what it would be equivalent to, but let's give it a try. Okay, so this is the pen. It's pretty small. Something I really liked about it was the cap can store inward, and then you can just pop it on to use, and then when you're done, you can pop it back like that. So just as a comparison, this is what it looks like compared to a Sailor Pro Gear Slim. And then this is how it compares to a Pilot Vanishing Point. So it's very small. I was surprised to see how small it was in person, but I'm not really too concerned about it. Okay, so I'm going to use a random blank page in my cousin, and then I'm gonna use this traveler's notebook insert. I don't actually know anything about these samples really, so I'm gonna discover them along with you. So I think I'm gonna start with this one. This one is called LAMY or LAMY, I'm not sure how you pronounce it, bronze. First thoughts with the dip pen is, the first time I dipped it, I submerged it a little far in and I got it actually in here, like where the nib meets the body. It ran out pretty quickly, as you can see, and the second time I dipped it, it did get a lot thicker, so I guess there's a bit of a learning curve there. So next up, I have two Robert Osters. So I have Robert Oster Green Lady and Robert Oster Fire and Ice. Oh wow, it's like a very bright green actually. Oh, it's very green. Okay, so the next one is Robert Oster Fire and Ice. Oh wow. I don't know if you can see that, but that's very, very blue. Okay, next up we are going to go with DIAMINE graphite. Okay, so I'm already noticing with this dip pen that I think I was being maybe a bit too cautious about dipping it. So in future, I'll need to dip it in a little bit more to get more ink in the nib. Okay, so the next two I'm going to do are these Sailor inks. This one here I actually bought a sample of, but this one came from my sample, and then this one I purchased. So this one is called Ink Studio 343. Okay, so the last three, I think, are going to be more permanent inks. If I'm not mistaken, this ROHRER, I don't know how to pronounce this, ROHRER and Klingner. It says on the site that it is an iron gall ink. And that it's water resistant. So we will give this a try. Oh, okay, so it's like a purple. Interesting. Oh, it's actually really pretty. And honestly, I'm pleasantly surprised with this ink. I actually quite like it. So let's see it on this one. Oh, interesting. I really like that. That's actually a really pretty color. Okay, next up we have these DIAMINE Document Red and Document Purple Violet. Okay, so that was really fun. First impressions, out of the samples that they sent me, I would have to say my favorite would be probably the ROHRER and Klingner Scabiosa, which I wouldn't have expected to like so much, and the Sailor Ink Studio 343 and the DIAMINE Graphite. It's always interesting to me to see how inks perform on different paper. So you can see just in these little boxes, it blends a lot better on the Hobonichi Cousin than it does on Midori paper. So I can definitely see why people love this paper so much, which is kind of sad because it is changing next year. Hopefully, I haven't tested it out, but hopefully it'll have a lot of the same qualities. In terms of my least favorite, I'd have to say probably this Robert Oster Fire and Ice. I'm just not a fan of this type of color, although in writing, it's actually quite lovely. So maybe that I didn't like this little swatch, but it's not a bad color, but I wouldn't reach for it. I also don't really like this Green Lady, and I also don't really love this bronze. I guess another surprise for me is these ATRAMENTIS colors. I was really surprised at how watered down this dried too. Like it almost looks like, I don't know if you can see that, but it kind of looks like it's a watercolor, which I find really interesting. So the purple one didn't really do that. It didn't quite dry as light, but I was really surprised at how this red dried. So that is interesting to me. It'll be interesting to see if these are truly waterproof as well. So maybe I'll do a test on that. Actually, I have a paintbrush here. So let's just see. Oh yeah. So I don't know if you can see that, but it does appear to be waterproof. As opposed to something like this. It's definitely not waterproof. Overall, I like the idea of the surprise random samples. I mean, I can't say after having these samples there's really any one color that I would run and buy, but in terms of the samples that I could see myself inking into one of my pens and trying out in the longer term, I could see myself trying out this Sailor ink, definitely this Sailor SHIKIORI tokiwa-matsu. If I were to invest in a bottle of ink, it probably would be one of those 3 shades at this time. I would really consider this color. It's beautiful. I'm not sure. I couldn't see myself using it enough. If I were looking for like a fun ink, I think I would, out of all of these, this one is the one that I would probably purchase. I'm not really looking for like a purple ink, and I'm not sure where I would use it, so I don't think I would invest in it, but this is a beautiful color, and I was surprised at how much I liked it. The last thing that I might do just for fun is I think I'm just going to do a bunch of swatches here with my paintbrush. I'm actually glad that I did a couple of paint swatches. I actually quite love the way these dried. I don't know if you can see that. This is the DIAMINE graphite. And after watching that dry, I'm feeling like I maybe judged this color a little too quickly. Here it is in the TN passport. It's actually still drying, but it's quite beautiful. And this color, this Sailor SHIKIORI tokiwa-matsu, here it is drying on this paper. It's gorgeous. I don't know if you can see that, but it just has this really beautiful kind of gold sheen. And it's just gorgeous in the Cousin. Final thoughts on this dip pen. It was lovely. I'm gonna clean it to see if I can get some of this off the white. If you're worried about things getting dirty, this does come in a darker gray color, and now I'm understanding why that might be a good color to have. But otherwise it was really easy to swatch these out. I did feel like I had to dip it in a little more into the, like fully submerge it in order to get a thicker line. And I don't know if these varied in thin or thickness due to the ink or just myself learning how to use the dip pen. Oh, I guess maybe the last one I'll try out again is this Sailor, because that was another color I quite liked. If you're still here, thank you so much for watching and being here. I'd love to know which one out of these samples was your favorite. And if you've tried any of these inks or these different brands, I'd love to hear your thoughts. And if you have any suggestions for me on other inks to try out, I would love to hear it. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.